OAPCE organizes an annual conference held in different regions throughout the province. Ontario co-hosted with the local board. Money that is paid from our school boards from membership to OAPCE helps support this annual conference. Since OAPCE is a provincial organization, the conference is held in different regions. There is an annual general meeting at for our OAPCE members. Hosting the conference is done on a volunteer basis with the approval and support of the hosting school board. Last year's conference was hosted by Renfrew. This slide is just basically a little bit more information about the conference. At our annual conference, we have awards that are presented and recognized, and different volunteers making Catholic education. OAPCE proudly recognizes the selfless commitment that different volunteers in Catholic education across Ontario make. We have 5 honorary awards, and one of them, which was introduced last year, recognizes a student. So if you know a deserving person, please nominate them for one of our prestigious awards. Okay, and that will be in your kit. Refer to your handbook, and it will be in your kit. OAPCE Parents. And then we have our OAPCE Parents newsletter. That will also be in your resource kit, which will be sent to you once you let us know. That is sent out monthly, and it has various inspiring articles, and it's a great resource. And that is for me. That's it for me.
Next
Thank
slide.
you.
Next slide. Okay, so it's Marianne Zoric again, and I know that we've started recording the webinar, so I'll just say it's Marianne Zoric, and we just heard from Karen. I'm the chair of DROPSI, and we just heard from Karen McDangle, our director. Jen Milson, our secretary, and Alina Dangley will also speak a little bit later, and maybe they'll identify themselves so it's less confusing for the listeners who join on the recording. Okay, so the next slide is DROPSI Regional Council. So you might be saying to yourself, okay, I think I understand OAPCE. It's this provincial organization founded in 1939, recognized by the ministry. Every council must have an OAPCE rep, and as we said, if you haven't identified an OAPCE rep in your council, one, you should, but if you haven't, that role defaults to the chair. What is DROPSI then, you might be asking yourself? Well, we are a very large region. We're a very engaged region in terms of parent engagement, and we tend to comply with the requirement to have an OAPCE rep on our councils, which is awesome. And as a result, we have a number of OAPCE reps. I think we're up to 75 or so. Our secretary is nodding. And in order to share information and get information from our directors like Karen, we actually meet monthly, and we have formed a regional council. And the regional council is the Dufferin-Peel Regional Association of Parents in Catholic Education. And the reps get together. But as Karen said, every parent of a child in our system is actually technically a member of OAPCE, and therefore every single person, whether they are the rep or not, is entitled, so long as they have a child in our system, is entitled to attend a meeting, but as she said, only the rep gets to vote. So we meet once a month, the last Wednesday of each month. We do not have a meeting usually in December, and this year is no different. And we typically meet at St. Valentine Elementary School. That's in the, I'm going to say Matheson and Mavis area. I'll just mention, because we learned this recently, we don't have our permit for March because there's another event taking place at the school, so we'll find a different location in March, but that's looking forward. Okay, so now you know what DROPSI is, and you know that you're the OAPCE rep. What exactly is your role? It's very simple. You are the conduit of information. So You attend the monthly meetings if you can, hopefully. I think you would enjoy them. They are very informative, and we get to know one another. We learn from one another. We learn from our directors, who get information from the province and the ministry, and we learn from each other. So that's your role, information exchange. Then you go to your council meetings, and then you report. What is OAPCE doing? What is happening in the conference? Have you been to a workshop? Did we learn something new about fundraising? Was there a speaker at the monthly meeting that there's some takeaway that you would like to share with the rest of your parents? That's your job. It's a very simple one, and it's a fun one. If you cannot come to the monthly meetings, don't think that means you can't be the rep. It is perfectly all right if, after our meetings, when the minutes come out, if you take the information that's shared with you in the minutes and you bring that back to your parent councils, and then you share that. Sometimes there's a lot of information, sometimes there isn't. Sometimes we have a meeting where maybe your child is in secondary school and there was a lot of information about something that relates more to the primary. Or vice versa. Sometimes people will talk about things that relate much more to a parent of a child in secondary. So sometimes your report could be longer, sometimes your report could be shorter, but what your job is to share it back to your school council. And ideally, if you are attending our monthly meetings as well, you can, if you feel comfortable to, also share what's happening in your school back to the remaining parents. You could talk about a workshop that came to your school, or a sports program that your parents brought in that's working really well, or you could talk about different initiatives that are taking place that you think other parents might want to take back to their school council. We've learned a lot from each other on all kinds of things, and one of our speakers, Alina, is going to mention a little bit about the kind of presenters we've had at our meetings, and we all might pipe in as well, because everyone takes something different from it. Every audience and every school has different concerns and needs, and the bottom line is information sharing. Also, ideally, as the OAPCE rep, you will attend the conference, and I don't, that's not my topic, but we'll fill you in a little bit more, and spoiler alert, the conference is not far away, so it'll be fairly easy to go this year in 2016. Okay, let's go to the next slide.
Thank you, Marianne. Just before we go to the next presenter, I thought maybe we could just interject that in order to maybe maximize our interactive experience this morning, hopefully participants will notice there is once again the dialog box that I'm trying to circle on your screen right now. And if there's a question that arises in someone's head, as the four presenters are speaking, are sharing their information with you this morning, please, participants, feel free to type in your little question, and the presenters will be able to see your question on the screen, and perhaps as they're speaking, they can address the question as they're speaking or at the conclusion of their mini presentations. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Good morning. It's Alina. I'm supposed to speak on the next slide.
We need the next
The
slide.
next one.
It's you. Then you.
The past presentation. Did you want to go back? Or
No, that's okay. That's
Okay.
good.
So as Marianne mentioned, we have, to be further engaged as parents, in DRAPSI we also host a few interesting workshops in the course of the school year. And as you can see from your slide, we had Dr. Josephine Lombardi. She's an author and theologian, and she presented the topic When Faith Meets Adolescence. And she presented, the presentation tackled issues about faith in cooperation to the development of the adolescent brain. We also had the superintendent, Marian Mazarato, who presented on parental engagement. And some parents were also very concerned about fundraising in their school. So That took a lot of time as well during that presentation. We also had Bruce Campbell, Dufferin Fields Manager of Communications, and he spoke about the best way to tackle unfair and negative media stories. And he was also a recipient of a very prestigious award, which was Gloria Nan Award. And it's presented to a person annually who supports the aims and goals of OAPCE and has substantially contributed in fostering a better understanding of Catholic education in Ontario through the use of various forms of media. He also emphasized that the most persuasive approach is when parents write in their own words about why they believe in Catholic education. We also had Nuno De Castro, who is an e-learning specialist from the board. He came and presented on homework help. There were free real-time math tutoring conducted by certified Ontario teachers. However, it was mostly for grade 7 and 10 math students. You can find that information as well in our website. We also had another presentation last year, which is not listed in your slide, which is a presentation by Jenny Bolton from the Canadian Centre for Financial Literacy, which was on sensible students. So mainly for grade 5s and 8s, and presented on when parents should be teaching about money, what children should know about money, and should we give our children an allowance. So that's just a few examples of what presentations we've had last year. To be even more further engaged, I guess we have, as an OAPCE rep, you have resources. So there's the OAPCE website, there's the DRAPCE website, and then we're also present in Twitter and Facebook, although I'm not sure how engaged we are there on Twitter. but that's all available to you as OAPCE representatives. So thank you. I will pass it on to Jen.
Karen.
Oh, Karen, sorry.
So, hi again, it's Karen McDangle. So, I'm just going to touch on the OAPCE conference, this annual conference. This year's conference will be held on May 6th and 7th, and that actually is the kickoff for Education Week. So we feel that that's a wonderful way to show our support for our children. This year, the theme of our conference is Different Gifts, One Voice. As mentioned before, I did indicate that last year's conference was held 5 hours away in Renfrew, which is Pembroke, Ontario, and this year's conference is being hosted by Toronto, Downsview, so 401 and Dufferin, so it'll be a much easier commute for everybody, and we're hoping that we will get a record number of attendees this year. The cost of the conference is $40. Now, for OAPCE representatives, I would strongly encourage you to ask your school council to cover that cost for you. It is a small fee for them, and it's something that I feel that you would benefit most graciously from this. The conference is wonderful and very inspiring. We have it's open again to all parents, but we do strongly encourage the OAPCE representative to attend. So we want you to share this with your school council, share it with your principal so that she can perhaps add it to the newsletter. We have wonderful keynote speakers. We also have 2 workshops that you can choose from, and there's also breakfast and lunch provided. We have a Friday evening, a meet and greet, which is sponsored by OAPCE, which is the Ontario English Teachers Catholic Association, and that is where you can introduce your meet and greet, as it says, and networking. The workshops sometimes are very difficult to choose. There's so many wonderful workshops to choose from. Last year there were over 26 workshops, and we had 28 resources in our vendor mall, which are great ideas for fundraising and also educational resources. And at that time, we also hold our annual general conference. our annual general meeting at the conference. Can you just go to the next slide, please? There's a list there of some of the workshops that have already signed on. We have the Meet a We, Paul Davis, Sarah Westbrook, and the Ministry of Education. This year, there is an evening portion to our conference, and that is a separate fee of $35. That includes your dinner. We're also having a DJ this year, and that's where the awards that I talked about earlier are presented. But before we have the dinner, there's also a Mass at 5 o'clock, and that will be presided by His Eminence, Cardinal Collins. That is open to everybody. So if you attend the conference during the day, your family can actually come and meet you for the Mass. It's open to everybody, so you can bring your children, your spouse, whomever you wish, your parents. The conference, for me, the conference is a very special event. It's actually what got me involved in OAPCE. I was invited as a guest, and it was just through that being at the conference that encouraged me to seek out the role when my daughter became in high school, that the role for OAPCE was vacant. So I'm telling you that you will not be disappointed. It is a wonderful way for us to show our commitment and solidarity, to unite with other parents that have the same cause, and that is to protect our children's right to a publicly funded Catholic education. Thank you.
Hi, it's Jennifer Milson. I'm the secretary for the DRAPSI team, and I'm just going to go through some reminders for you. So if we could go to the next slide, John, that would be great. Oh, no, I think we went back.
We overshot.
Are we overshot? Sorry, everyone, hang on. Did they take out some of our... Can you go forward one more?
Maybe they got mixed up somehow. Oh.
No, unfortunately, it appears as if a couple of slides have somehow... Can you go back one? Okay, it appears as if a couple of our slides have dropped off. The next slide was supposed to be, so we'll just stay on this slide, John. The next slide we had put in was basically a screenshot of our website. So if you have pen and paper handy, great. Our website is www.drapsi.com. So that is your go-to place to get up-to-the-date information. As we mentioned earlier, we have a parent volunteer on our team, Chuck, who does administer the website for us, and the turnaround time is very quick. So as soon as we receive information that is available for posting, it's usually posted there within 24 to 48 hours. So if you want to check in there once a week, or you have a meeting coming up and you don't have time to go through all your emails, it's a good place to go and grab your information quickly. One of the most important things is if you're signing in new today and we do not have you on our mailing list, on the home page you will see a little button that says join our email list. We do ask people to use that button because that means all those new laws to be CASO compliant, and you can safely unsubscribe at any time. So you just fill out that form. It takes about 15 seconds to fill out the form. You'll be automatically added to our email list, and then you will start receiving information about upcoming meetings. If you're signing on today, for example, you would see in the right-hand side on the home page a little box about next DRAPSI meeting. So the November 25th meeting is already posted there, and again, you can click on that and sign up. We do ask people if they have time to RSVP yes or no. The reason being, even if you can't make the meeting but you say no, you're automatically added to a list in our system in the back end. So then when we have our minutes and our meeting documents, you will receive an automatic email with that link so that it's a reminder for you that it's ready to go. Okay? At the top of the website page is a black banner. That is a very quick access to a one-page document. That document is we call it the DRAPSI info sheet or the DRAPSI one-pager. So again, that's just a little handout you can have with information about the regional team. It lists all your meeting dates and includes a map to where we meet. That being said, Again, as an example, we received notification yesterday that St. Valentine's is not available for March. Our webmaster has already updated the document. If you click there today, you will have the new revised document. Okay? And I guess the other thing that I really want to point out today in the review of the website is you will also find I think it's the third or fourth tab, and it'll say DRAPSI meeting documents. We run that like a blog. So basically, when there's a meeting coming up, it'll be listed like the agenda, the minutes, and any documents that we receive from parents at our meetings will be scanned and posted there for the purposes of sharing. And on the far right, you would also receive information about resources. So from there, for example, one of the bigger projects a few years ago was a parent volunteer gathered together. At the time, we had, probably 20 to 30 prayers that had been handed in by parents at all of our meetings over the last few years. So they were all typed up nicely and put there. So again, it's a quick resource for you. There's a link also to the OAPCE, which is the provincial website. Okay? So if we go back to the meeting documents, Alina mentioned that there was a Sensible Student presentation last January. So if that's something you're interested in, parents actually contributed to the minutes, if you will. So parents that came to the meeting kind of typed their best takeaway thought, and that's what we call our parent share. So when we have presentations now going forward, because we have 40 to 50 people at the meetings, rather than me as the secretary try to type down just my thoughts, everybody's kind of emailing in their thoughts. And so what you're going to start to see is a document that is like kind of like testimonials of what people heard and had their takeaway. So you'll have opinions from people from secondary and from elementary, and it allows you to have some insight if you weren't able to be at the meeting. Okay, so the next slide that we had, and unfortunately it's not on this document for some reason, was it was a share school events screen. So that's for our webmaster. A lot of our parents will have upcoming events. They want to promote, they're having a speaker coming out, and they want to invite people from the DRAPSI community. They have a Christmas bazaar coming up, and they want to invite people. If you have something and you want to share and you want us to e-blast it out, we do have close to 200 people on our emailing list as of today. Please feel free to fill out this online form. He will put it up on the website, and then that will be automatically emailed out to our close to 200 parent group members. Okay, and if you have any questions, continue to post them there. Marianne, I'm just going to address, I see someone has put up a question about the milk bags. So at the DRAPSI monthly meetings, yes, we will continue to collect milk bags because we have parents that their high school groups are weaving the sleeping mats as part of a project at their high school. So if you bring them, and she does ask that they be dry and preferably flattened and in a, the file boxes or a flat box or bag, but as long as they're flattened and clean, and you can bring them to the meetings, and then they will get them shipped out to the high school who is weaving them into mats. From there, they get sent down to Dr. Simone's warehouse and shipped all around the world to people in need. Okay. Next slide. So the next slide is join the conversation. So just a gentle reminder, you can follow along or participate in discussion with other parents in the province at OAPCE. And the Twitter account that's there, that is actually active for OAPCE. They have it on their homepage. So again, if you want to follow along with provincial items, you would visit www.oapce.org. Their Facebook page is also fairly active. Within the region, we don't really have an active Facebook page or Twitter account. We need volunteers. So if you are a Twitter person or a Facebook person and want to be involved in that project, it's something we'd certainly like to look into. And then with DRAPSI, really how we stay connected is at our monthly meetings and by people sending stuff in and posting it on our website for sharing. Alrighty, and I'm going to turn it back, I think, to Marianne Sorick, who is our chair.
Okay, so I thought what would be helpful to people who are online, who've never been to a meeting, and just to get a bit of a flavor of, so what is it like if you attend a meeting? What can you expect? What might be expected of you, if anything, at the meeting? And so what I wanted to tell you is that, as we said earlier, we meet once a month. So in November, our meeting is again the last Wednesday of November. I'm pretty sure that's November 28th.
25th.
Oh, gosh. It is not the 28th. It's on the 25th. Anyway, that's why I like to say last Wednesday, because there's no confusion about that. And so we are meeting at St. Valentine's. The meetings start at 7. We do try to get started right on time, but I'll be frank with you. So far, I've fallen a bit behind in my resolution to start on time, so there's usually like a few minutes grace. Not to worry, if you cannot come at 7, it is fine to come in at 7, 7:10, 7:15. We try to have someone, usually a high school volunteer, to help us with the door because the school doors are locked. We meet in the gym, and there you will find the meeting taking place. Sometimes the sound isn't the best, but we're fierce and mighty, and generally you'll be able to follow along. So our bylaws require, and we do meet this essentially always, our bylaws require that the agenda be posted a week before the meeting, and that means the Wednesday before the meeting, you will get usually an email with the agenda, and usually, actually frankly almost always, with the draft minutes from the last meeting. And so you will know a week in advance, at a minimum, exactly what's on the agenda, including special speakers or topics that in particular are going to be reported on. Sometimes new news comes, so there's usually a lot more that happens in the meeting necessarily that the agenda can show you. But you will have a good idea for sure if there's a special speaker. This month in November, we are hoping to have a speaker, and we'll let you know a little bit more about that if it works out. We're also having our elections this month, so if you're interested in becoming a bit more involved, this month we will be having the elections. I do want to tell those of you who are thinking of maybe taking on more of a volunteer role, just because you are not on the executive of DROPSI or you're not an OAPCE director, we have lots of opportunities for people to volunteer and assist. We rely very much on our parents because we are a 100% volunteer parent organization. So Jen was mentioning that we have a tab on our website of prayers. It's been my experience at various councils that what will happen is someone will be like, oh, we didn't get a prayer this month, and then we tend to default either to the Our Father or a Hail Mary. If you go to the DROPSI website, we have prayers that we've collected over the years, very appropriate prayers for parent council meetings, and those are available to you. So our meetings start at 7. As I said, maybe sometimes we start a little bit late, but typically we finish exactly at 8:30. So if you have a commitment where you have to leave by 8:30, I can tell you that that will be respected. You will be able to go at 8:30, and if you need to leave a bit earlier, that's fine. From the last 5 years, attendance at our meetings has steadily grown. The reason for that is because even though we are all busy and we have our own school councils and we have our own parent obligations and work and so on, parents are finding that it is useful and it is kind of enjoyable to attend our meetings. So you can expect to see, say, between 30 and 50 people will be at the meetings. We're meeting in the gym, and the meetings start in the usual way. We start with a prayer, and we close with a prayer, and we go through our regular business. Plus, then we have the info reports, and we also have what we call a parent share time. So, as Jen said, if you have activities at your school that you would like to promote, maybe you're having a Christmas bazaar, maybe you're having an open play, maybe you're having a speaker coming and you would like to have more attendance, so as to share the program speaker with a wider audience and you'd like to invite people, it is very appropriate in our meetings to say, hey, this is what we're doing. At last month's meeting, we learned that more than one school is having a live nativity in December, and I think it was absolutely awesome. I'm going to try and remember what the name of the school was, but they're going to have live camels. So I would never in a million years have known about that event or that was available to me. And I'll be honest with you, I've never seen a live camel, and I would like to see a live camel. And I think it's an absolutely beautiful thing in the secular environment in which we live, that the Christmas events that we can now attend because of this kind of information are events that remind us of why we are celebrating Christmas, namely the nativity of our Lord. So as much as that was sort of, not an educational topic, it related to the school event, and I was very happy to hear about it. Jen mentioned if you would like things posted to our website, we post them. I just do want to, and this is the lawyer in me, tell you that we're not going to post everything you send us. It has to be appropriate to the topic and related to education and consistent, obviously, with our faith and values. All right. Also at our next meeting after November in January, we have just booked Ron Morish. He is getting rave reviews from some of our parents, and he's going to speak on discipline. I'm gonna park that for a moment, and I'll let Jen fill us in a little bit more about that and how she would like us to register. Because the other reminder I just want to tell you is it's quite important for us to have a good idea how many people are coming to the meeting. We set up the chairs, we set up the tables, and it makes a big difference to us if we're setting up meeting facility for 30 people, 50 people, 60 people, particularly because although there's not much, we do have a little bit of food and coffee and so forth, and so we like to prepare ahead of time. That doesn't mean that if you didn't register by the morning of the meeting that you're not welcome to come, but I'm please asking you for the sanity of our secretary and for the sanity of those that are setting up in advance, if you let us know. It's very, very helpful. We never want to discourage anyone from coming to a meeting. I would never say don't come if you hadn't registered in time, but if I could just ask you to do that. The other thing I just wanted to mention, because of the information sharing aspect of it, sometimes we're asked questions like, OAPCE, like, is that like CSAC, or you're the board too, right? No. There's a confusion sometimes about that. We are the parent organization, a long-standing parent organization, and CSAC is sort of partially board, partially parents, chairs, and so forth. And we each have our functions and roles, and in fact, our director, Karen, goes to all the CSAC meetings, and we share information from OAPCE, but there is a distinction. As you go along, you'll get to understand the acronyms better, and you'll get to know about the work that each of these partners does. Yes. Oh, and also for those of you that are shy and think, oh gosh, I don't want to go to a 50-person meeting and have to talk about my school and so forth, that's not required. It's at your degree of comfort. If you would like to share something, that's great. If you would like to just listen and take the information back, that's also awesome. So I really invite you, if you can, to come, and if not, to look for, in the days following a given meeting, the minutes and blurbs from the meetings about what happened at the meeting, because that's what you're going to be taking back to your council. Now, it's 9:45. We have a bunch of people online, and I was wondering whether or not any of you have...
open the mic.
Yeah, we're going to open the mic. If any of you had questions, if you wanted to pose them
After the prayer?
Open the mic to do the prayer.
No, to open the mic to have the questions, and then if, depending on what number of questions there are, if any, if you would prefer to pose them in typing, that would be also fine. We'll answer them, and then say at about, well, we'll see. If there's a lot of questions, we'll continue on, but not later than 10, or 2 minutes to 10. And if there's not too many questions or no questions, then we'll go to our prayer. How's that, John?
Okay.
Our moderator's nodding.
So, folks, attendees, webinar participants, I notice we do have one question that's been typed up by Mike, and I believe it's been answered by our panel here this morning. At this time, we've opened up the mics on our end of this webinar. So if any of the participants at this point in the series has got a question for any of our 4 panel members, we would invite those at this time.
Hi,
Hello.
I'm from St. Bernadette. I'd like a hard copy. Do I just give you guys the school address, or do I just my home address?
So if you would email us and just let us know that you would like a copy of the kit, because right now, because you registered through the board, I don't know that we have a list.
Just email us.
Yeah, so just email us.
Yes, but to answer, I think you said if you could email me your name, your school, and if you could put down your school's address, that will save me looking it up so I can mail it out to you.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yeah, so just email it to Dropsy.
Dropsy@hotmail.com, because I know some of you just phoned in only, so maybe you can't see. But if you email Dropsy@hotmail.com.
No, not www, the email. Yeah.
So the email is DRAPCE@hotmail.com. If you email your name, your school, and the address of your school, that would be helpful, and we will get the packages out to you. Also, if you are planning to come to the November 25th meeting, there will be a stack of them there so you can pick up your kit at that meeting, because that's just in a few weeks, right? But if you know you're not coming to the meeting and you want me to mail it to you,
at your school.
That would be great.
Because we'll probably, I'm sure that Carol will be able to assist us in sending these hard copies through to the relevant school. So you should look for it in the school mailbox to your attention as the OAPCE rep. Is that okay, whoever was asking?
Yes, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Mike Tadgell, for your thoughtful, simple, clear, and thank you. Did anyone else want to ask anything? Alina has a comment.
I have a question comment. I'm not sure if we want to address that as well. But some parents had requested before maybe we could do this on like a conference call for our meetings.
Yes.
Instead of having, physical attendance at our regular gym.
Yeah. Okay. So Alina's raised a point. About 2 or 3 years ago, we were looking into potentially doing part of our meetings online. The difficulty we had is that there wasn't necessarily Wi-Fi in the school, and so it would have been kind of cost prohibitive because we're all volunteers, so we would have been using our own personal bandwidth to be now that there's Wi-Fi in the school, depending on how that works out, one of the things we might do is test pilot, doing a portion of the meeting. We have OAPCE reps for the whole board, and when you reflect how large our board is and how completely awesome and engaged our parents are, we have schools from the shores of Lake Ontario all the way up through Caledon, practically at the Orangeville border, and that's quite a distance for some people to be coming, and we totally appreciate that. So we may well try, and it was mentioned at one of the meetings as well, we may well try, not necessarily to do the whole meeting, but some of the information providing portion of the meeting in an online capacity. And in fact, this morning was a chance sort of to test how that might work and whether it will work. So you can look out for that as a possibility that that we might give a shot to. I don't think we're going to do the whole meeting by webinar, because what we've found is that sometimes parents may want to share within the room, but it's maybe a bit of a different thing if it's broadcast more widely. So we're going to see, but that's certainly a great idea, particularly for people, or even in bad weather. It could make the difference between being able to participate that way and not being able to participate. Before we close, I thought we'd have Jen just tell you a little bit about the speaker we're planning for January and ask you to save the date for our January meeting. Did you want to say a little bit about Ron Morris before we close up?
Yeah, so I'll just 2 items. So I see a number of attendees where they've dialed in audio only. So if we do not have your email address, if you could please try to sign up for the email over the weekend, because we will be sending out on Monday kind of a copy of this presentation, which is actually on our website, but also like a reminder about some upcoming events and items. So that way you'll be in the loop right away. One of those items that's upcoming, as Marianne mentioned, we've literally in the last 24 hours confirmed and booked a speaker. So if you could save the date, if you're having council meetings, put it out there. And that poster will probably come out next week. January 27th, 2016, 7 to 8:30 p.m. Ron Morris. His topic is the keys to discipline and respect. It's using discipline in a positive model. If you want more information about his topics, the website is realdiscipline.com. That will be recapped in an email at the end of next week, I expect. Are there any more questions? Oh, I see. Hello. We have a volunteer for social media accounts. Okay, great, Ria. We will get in touch with you. I think we have your email, but if you could just email me at dropsy.com, dropsy@hotmail.com, then we can start a conversation to bring you on board as a volunteer for the social media account. Woohoo! Everybody can clap now.
Okay, so one thing I just wanted to tell you, so for Ron Morris, if you would like to invite your spouse to come and yourself, and if you would like the other parents to come in your school, it is open to all parents in our board because they're all OAPCE members. Everyone is welcome to come. It's not just restricted to the reps. All right. So before we fully close up, anyone else with a question? Or if something occurs to you, if you're like, oh, I can't believe I forgot to ask X or Y, just email us, and we'll get back to you and give you some more information, or give you the link or whatever it may be that you might have missed. All right, I'll ask everyone for those of you who hopefully have the presentation in front of you, we'll close with our closing prayer. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Loving God and Father, we are privileged to have been given the responsibility as parents to be partners on overseeing the education of our children and all students in our Catholic schools. Strengthen us in our work as we seek to build a peaceful community. As we journey to build a peaceful community, let us remember that the very essence of who we are is based on the principle that your Son Jesus lives within each of us. This we ask in his name, in whom all peace resides. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Have a great day, everyone.
At this time, I just wanted to conclude by thanking all the webinar participants who took the time on their busy Saturday mornings to join us, and our panel representatives. So thank you very, very much for spending part of your Saturday morning with us. And lastly, but certainly not least important, our presenters have been fantastic this morning. So once again, we'd like to thank Marianne Zorek, Karen McDangle, Alina Dangley, and Jen Milson. Thank you very, very much for your time this morning.
And thank you for being a great moderator. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Everybody.
You shall email.